The second thing we would take a look at would be win-loss, right? This was borrowed from a different spreadsheet, and so I actually just had by default the text read there. Okay, so win-loss, right? And then we have ROI, and that's it. And again, that's no reason for that to be read. I am not a spreadsheet master, but by the way, for anyone here, I'm just good enough. And then we have what else? The lesson, right? And I probably built this in a different place, but we'll just rebuild it so everybody has an understanding, right? Okay, so there we go. We can even extend it a bit so that we have even more room, right? And now I believe I can see everything. Yeah, we're at -$3 while our trade is going. Like I said, not my favorite entry, but it'll prove a point nevertheless. So first thing, right, we would put, in this case, BTC, and then we would put short, and then we would put 5x, right? And then this is going to be what we'll put, and then this is what we're going to put, this is what we will put our ROI in, and then we will put the lesson here, right? So this is also, I think, a good place for notes, right? So it kind of gives you I think a place where you can kind of look at things and you can say, okay, like going into the trade, how did I feel? And then you can kind of like put how you felt going into the trade. So notes, this is probably, I would say, most aggressive fib, not a ton of scalping, CCM, confluence, right? So this is us kind of taking a shot, but I might put something like that, right? Something to consider. All right, so I just kind of wanted to share that for starters, and then we'll kind of consider some other items as well that we're going to talk about from the Discord. Right, so where is my Discord now? Too many screens. Okay, so going back to the Discord thing, right? The Discord that we had mentioned here. Okay, should work again. All right, this is what I don't know why that's going away. Let's see if that doesn't happen again. Okay, well, regardless, I'm not gonna spend too much time on that. But the bottom line is we have to ask ourselves psychology, right? There's a loss versus missing out, right? And we have to kind of decide what is more important. Are we more afraid of missing out, or are we more afraid of loss? And so finding the balance is what matters. So I'm just kind of going to read that to you, right? Step one, once you have found a setup that looks ideal, and you've identified an accompanying asymmetry that looks good for you, it's time to set your monetary profit goal, right? So I think you guys all kind of saw that I didn't really set a goal. I just kind of knew I didn't want to put more than $5,000 into this trade position, just because it's not my favorite, but it'll probably work. To be honest, it'll probably work to at least prove the point for a little while, right? And then where I would go harder and heavier would be a different place, and it's just kind of based on our definitions and descriptions of, in this case, how to use the fib extensions with the DIIO algos, right? So what I will say, just while we're here, while we're looking at it live, is just kind of notice that, in this range, we've kind of run into a bit of a resistance, in this case, right? It's having a kind of a little bit of a tougher time deciding what to do. And I think one of the important things to look at really is just the percentages, right? If it's staying close to zero and it's just teetering on one side or the other, you're at kind of an inflection point. So it's just kind of lets maybe that this is a place where the market is kind of like deciding what it's going to do. You didn't just get blown out in some random place. You chose a place of question, right? Where the people who are long are questioning themselves, people who are short are shorting and deciding that, hey, this is what I think is a good place to short. So all of that is happening at places where you're in a 5x leverage trade and it stays close to zero. Okay, so next, step 2, use the calculator to decide what entry is best suited to get you there, right? So this is why I bring up the calculator, right? Do we want higher leverage, lower capital? Do we want lower capital, higher leverage? Those of you that are in group, know that like to the group, my honest thought is keep it within your belt level and let your own results dictate what is appropriate for you. I would tell anybody new, not to trade over 5x leverage. Bitcoin is known for being one of the most volatile assets, and at the same time, it's one of the most tame assets out of many of the ones that we kind of work with, right? If you have alt scanners and you're in MSAs, then that we have 10, 11 different alt scanners, and they each have 8 assets that they're evaluating. So that's about 90 different assets, and Bitcoin is one of the most peaceful ones, right? Most days. Now, there are times when Bitcoin has its moments, and then it drags all of them down. And guess what? The other ones become extremely volatile when that happens. So with that being said, I'm going to kind of go through some ways to use this particular trade that we have right now, right? So, and you can decide, hey, is this trade worth it, right?